So I will say I'm a little disappointed by that.
Okay.
Only because we've done Godzilla versus Kong, right? It's not, in fact, they've done it twice. There was a Godzilla versus Kong, and then there's the New Empire, and now we're going to go Supernova. So this is what I was about to say before you, because I did not know that title. I'm afraid they're going to jump the shark.
Original geek, that's who I am. Rolling 20s with my squad, we got a plan. Marvel heroes on the wall, D&D dice in hand. Original geek, across the land. Level up, never gonna give it up.
Welcome to Original Geek. This is the All Fandom podcast where we dig into sci-fi, fantasy, comics, and every pop culture obsession that built the multiverse we live in today. So whether you're Gen X, Millennial, or just geek curious, welcome to the basement. Hi, I'm Steve Scarfo.
And I'm Jeff Shaw, and we'll be your red light containment breach for today's awakening of an ancient apex predator, because we're diving into the Monsterverse. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I love it. But very specifically, this is all about the most recent iteration of the Monsterverse, and we'll be talking a little bit about Monarch Legacy of Monsters shortly, too. So this is from the 2014 Godzilla film, the current monstrous cinematic universe, the other MCU that nobody likes to talk about. So
That's why it's just the Monsterverse. No
It is
cinematic about it. It's just Monsterverse.
You know I had it, though. The C in there was too easy. MCU. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a different tack. If you guys have been with us, you've maybe listened to our Creature Double Feature episode where we focus a lot on Godzilla. So we're not going to focus as much on the creatures. We're going to talk specifically about the organization, Monarch itself.
No Kaiju today. Not gonna talk about it.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent. That's a really bad George Bush
it's
impression
so funny.
for everybody
When
over 40.
we did the Creature Double Feature episode, and you talked about Monarch, and you recommended that I watch it, and then I didn't until this past week as the new season launched. We're recording this on the Sunday after it launched. So there'll be 2 episodes in season 2
By the time this
when
comes out,
everyone's
yeah.
listening to this. I did not know that it was the same as Godzilla and Kong. Like all those, like I didn't know it was part of that same universe. And I thought when I first watched it, I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. They use the same Godzilla. That's pretty cool. I like that. I like that they didn't try to reinvent the wheel, that they used the regular. This also demonstrates my memory of any of those films is not great, because Monarch is a part of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and then forward.
The 2014 one, yeah.
Well, I don't even remember it in the 2014 one. I remember it in the 2019 one.
I did not remember it, but I did some digging, and supposedly Monarch is present in the very first 2014. Well, very first for this version.
Yeah, but it's like a major presence in the 2019 one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in 2014, it was just what they called the group. Like it was, I don't think they cared what it was called. It was just a thing, but it was there. Because I was like, Jesus, was this their plan all along? Because I remember seeing, I love all the Godzilla movies. So when it came out, I watched it and I didn't remember Monarch. Like they weren't a big presence in that.
Yeah. I will say this, that if you have Apple TV, this is definitely worth the watch. And the benefit is you don't have to have watched any of those movies, because I had to quickly catch up and catch some clips and do some quick viewing just to be like, wait a second, Monarch's in this? Yeah, pretty significantly.
This is why you need to listen to my recommendations more when I say you have to watch the show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously. Then I would have had more time. Well, it made me aware that I didn't watch Godzilla versus Kong. So like I saw the last one I saw was the 2019 Godzilla King of the Monsters. I didn't watch the two Godzilla versus Kong movies. And so that maybe that's why, another reason, because I haven't seen a Godzilla movie since 2019, so 7 years. Anyway, Monarch, loved that show and a great recommendation. So I'm glad we're talking.
Yeah, and the good thing about Monarch is and the reason why we're not talking specifically about the kaiju, right? Because it's weird. It's like a double-edged sword, because they actually introduce a lot more in this show than just Godzilla and Kong. Like if you've, again, if we talk Godzilla and we talk kaiju, everybody goes, oh, okay. This show shows a lot more kaiju, but they're really not the main. They are the driver, of course, because that's the whole reason Monarch exists. But the storyline isn't about that. The storyline is about, it actually starts in 2014, right after they call it G-Day, which I thought was interesting, for the first time Godzilla attacked. And so it follows the daughter of a researcher. And then, it does this awesome back and forth timeline, a situation. We'll dig into that a little bit too. But it really did open everything up. But it's really about this organization and how the people who were first trying to research these creatures developed with the government and with the army this group that becomes. It almost reminds me, I was making fun of the MCU, but it does almost remind me of like a S.H.I.E.L.D., like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. situation, where it's an organization born out of necessity that becomes this huge, powerful, black ops kind of place. They have their front-facing stuff, and then all the stuff they do is mostly stuff people don't know about.
Yeah, that's a good parallel, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, because it's telling, a lot of, has a, great story. It's more grounded, it's smaller. But, it also has some nice tie-ins, and and we do get, the special effects are really good, which I know, once again, it's because I'm watching the Monsterverse, where it belongs, but still, when it's a TV show, you don't necessarily always get those special effects to make Kong's fur, and that's got to be complicated, I think.
I will say, I think, I'm going to say golden age again. I think we're living really in this, maybe I won't use golden age. I said it twice, but I'm not going to use it in the sentence. It's an amazing time in graphics, right? AI aside, they have tools to do these things easier than they did even whatever 12 years ago when they made the first Godzilla. It's so much easier for them to create. And I'm not saying they're not spending a ton of money. I'm sure they are. But it's simpler. And I think it's been the prices have come down. The ease has gotten easier. And they, the budgets have gotten bigger because people don't do the movies as much. They have to be big and spectacly. So people are looking for the streaming services to put. I mean, we've done several episodes in the last few weeks that were all very heavy into CGI. The Star Trek episode, the Wonder Man episode, not as heavy into the CGI, but there's so many of these things that, it's crazy what they do. And I agree. It looks phenomenal. It's one of the things, it's a, for lack of a better term, it's a pretty show to watch, because you watch these creatures and there's never a point when you go, oh, they screwed that up, right? That it just looks good. But, yeah. And we talked a lot about the smaller show thing. We've been digging the smaller show thing.
Yeah.
Little tighter. All right. This is going to be our most shallow flashback, but we're going to do it. Let's take a trip through time. It's a Geek Flashback.
Well, it's funny because when you talked about the special effects and how far they've come, it did make me think about those when I first saw King Kong, and it was in color, the one I saw, so it wasn't the original King Kong. Yeah, that was before we'd have a lot of CGI, so they obviously had to have mechanical, and then do the models, and so you see this giant hand move in to hold someone. And I'll have to look up who that was, because I do remember.
Yeah.
That was King Kong 70s.
Was it even the 70s?
1976. And it was Jessica Lange. Jeff Bridges. Yeah. So
God,
Jessica Lange was the
76?
one getting, grabbed by Kong and lifted up. So yeah, I remember that.
It was, I didn't realize it was that far back. For some reason, I thought it was more like late 80s, but yeah, 76. Yeah. Again, I was saying shallower because if we're talking Monarch, right, I don't remember Monarch, the name, in any of the other movies pre-2014. The organization, obviously it starts with, and it's one of the cool things the TV show did, because they tell two stories at the same time. And I said it to Jeff before we started recording that I actually, for some reason, thought this was season 3 because there was so much story that came out in season 1, because they tell you from the beginning, I'm going to say our time, but I think it's really supposed to start in 2014, 2015, but then they go back to the 50s and they show Kate, the main character's grandmother, and how she meets her husband, who becomes, I think there's actually a quick clip in episode 1 where they show the grandfather actually die, I believe. Spoilers if you haven't seen this show, but it's within the first 5 minutes, I'm pretty sure. Or he at least goes missing. We haven't seen him since. But they go back and they show you these people back in time, and it's Keiko and Lee Shaw and I forget the dad's name, but they show them as younger people, and then they tell the story of how they first find these kaiju. But again, it's not about them, the kaiju. It's about
call them kaiju.
Sorry, these creatures, but they
Titans.
are the
They're
Titans. Sorry, they're Titans in this one, but they're still kaiju. You guys know it, but they yeah, but it's the story of the people and how they went on this journey and how they find these things, and then and it's great when they do good storytelling. Timeline storytelling is tough because you have to make sure that you do it correctly, and it can't be too overpowered one way or the other. But this evolution, if you will, of Monarch, I think they lay it out really well.
Yeah. Are you going to flash back, or?
I did already.
Okay. Oh, to 2014.
Yeah,
or to last year when the show came out.
Oh, well, that's why I said it's a shallow flashback. I'm just going to 2014.
Okay.
That is why
Gotcha.
it was shallow.
All the way back.
Well, because I'm trying to focus on Monarch itself. But, I do agree, of course, that the special effects of Jessica Lange being picked up by an actual monstrous ape hand that didn't go past the wrist, you know what I mean, was fun because we got to see it, and it was practical effects. I don't think in 76, although Star Wars had some of the first special effects with stuff, so that was around the same time. They weren't going to use it, and even as, oh God, in the late 80s, whenever the first Monsters Inc. came out, like those special effects with the furry creatures weren't the best either. They were all still pretty cartoony. Mike Wazowski, Scully was like he was like a feat of engineering in software terms to get him to look the way he did. Yeah,
just in case, so we don't have to do a basement.
So we don't have
a canon
to do
correction. We haven't done that in a while.
No, we've been holding off. We've been doing live corrections because I love that segment, but I also hate when we have to do it. Yeah, so still 25 years ago, they could barely get Scully to look the way he needed to. And now they, on TV, just throw a Godzilla up a Kong up, and he looks amazing. But I think now we're going to jump into, Jeff's doing the dice.
Yes.
We're going to do a little random review of Monarch.
It's time for a random review.
All right. Hey, welcome to the original Geek Random Review. We set the topic, but the dice set the direction. We know we're going to review, we just don't know how.
Yeah, so this is a chart created for us by Google Gemini, so we are as ill-prepared as possible
Yes,
to review Monarch Season 1 and Episode 1 of Season 2.
Yes.
Spoilers, but we'll try to keep it a spoiler-free.
Yes, but you've been warned.
Yes.
At some point in time, I will put up the chart. You guys will see it. I would like to focus on the ones that we roll to. But before we get our roll on, like, subscribe, follow us, send us notes about these reviews. Tell us what parts you like and hate. But I don't remember where we're at. Do I roll for you first this time?
I'm going to roll for you first this
all right.
time.
Ooh, I get to go.
And looks like we got an 11, which is a successful perception. Keiko's out-of-time arc. Mary Yamato joining the modern cast, a refreshing perspective. Bringing the 1950s Keiko into 2017 in the Season 2 premiere was cited as a brilliant move. Her scientific fascination versus Kate's traumatized weariness creates a dynamic that finally makes the modern-day scenes interesting.
All right, there's a lot there. And I agree with some of it, but not there's an implication that the modern day scenes weren't interesting before, which I do disagree with. But I do really like this idea that, and I think they show her at the end of Season 1. Kate and Shaw fall into, I have the name here for somewhere, Axis. Axis Mundi is what the underworld is called. And they fall in, and that's when they see that Keiko is still alive, and he actually hides from her because they were the same age or around the same age. And now he's already time jumped and is over 100 years old, even though he looks like he's in his 60s, and she's still
He's 90.
90.
Yes.
Well, I think they said 100, so maybe they were just messing with him. But anyway, he's old and she's still like 28 or whatever she is. So I like that they're tying the two timelines together. I talked about it before. If you're just watching the review, go watch the rest of the episode. But it's the idea that they do this back and forth timeline has been amazing. And they're continuing that in Season 2, which is nice because they're still fleshing out some history for us, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
But to have her now with her granddaughter and her son, her son and her granddaughter, and she's younger than the son and about the same age as the granddaughter. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle the dichotomy of the two. And now Shaw at the end of Season 1, again, spoilers, was dropped and forgotten. And in Episode 1, they bring him back. So now there's like a triple timeline thing happening, but all at the same time. So I really like it. And I think the acting has been great. So I have no complaints there at all. But I like the fact that they bring her forward.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I also thought that was that was so obvious that they were going to find her. I think like they never saw her body, so like she comes out of the woods with her bow and arrow, and like I'm sorry, I wasn't surprised. I was not surprised. I was like, when do we see her? Because we didn't get a body, so come on.
No, it was funny too because they the whole scene where the huge insect creatures drag her into the hole, they try to make it feel super momentous, like she died. But, they've already told us that people fall into another world. So
yeah,
it was a little anticlimactic in that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Still a cool reveal. It was a cool way to do the reveal.
Yes.
All right. Any more on that before I roll for you?
No. Send it my way.
Go, you ready?
Yeah.
Ooh. If this was real D&D, this would be a great roll. This is an 18. A successful charisma. Enter Kong. Kong's arrival in the Season 2 premiere. Big screen energy on a TV budget. The Season 2 premiere didn't hold back, showing Kong smashing through the forest and taking out helicopters. It proved that Apple TV Plus is willing to spend the money to make the Titans feel as massive as they do in the films.
Yeah, it's funny because we already touched upon this earlier, but the special effects in the show is amazing. And yeah, Kong I thought was so impressive. And that for CGI, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Kong has to cost more than Godzilla or any of these reptilian creatures. All that fur moving in such a realistic way, like every little hair has to be, created digitally in some way. It's just amazing. But in general, and I know this is supposed to specifically be about Kong, but I really thought that that ice creature in season 1 when they were in Alaska, what had kind of a mole like mouth and the tendrils and had that glow, the ion dragon that they saw, that was, I think the special effects throughout have been amazing. So yeah, obviously you can call out Kong, and I think that that was really impressive. And it's great that they're able to put the money into this show, because people may not have been paying attention earlier. We kind of referenced Shield, but if you watch the Shield TV show, it does not have the budget of the Avengers. It does not have that MCU budget that all the movies have and the TV shows today have. But man, they're spending the money on Monarch. I highly recommend. So impressive.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because I was trying to remember, and I did not watch the end of last season before I saw the new episode. And I remember that it ended on that cliffhanger of them coming back, and I think we hear the sounds of Kong, but I don't know that they actually show Kong at the end of season 2. You just know that the shit has hit the fan, that they're in the middle of a storm and they're trying to get out because wherever they are, they're not supposed to be. But I don't know that they tell us. I don't recall. This might be a correction that some of you will call me on, but it's, I don't know for sure if they say it's Kong's Island at the end of season 1. And then we show up in season 2, and as obviously everything you just said, it's Kong, and it's like, holy shit, they have him here.
Yeah.
And it's the first time they actually, they mention Kong, but they never show him. So yeah, very, very, very cool. But again, so listen, we try to talk about stuff we love, so it's not going to be a big surprise when we always say, go watch the show, because we always do. And it's okay, because this is a show worth watching. If you don't have Apple TV, pay for Apple TV. This is the guy who bitched about shit a couple weeks ago about having to pay extra for a movie that we wanted to review. But I'm telling you, go get Apple TV. Besides this show, there's a ton of great shows, but this one specifically is fantastic. So again, rate, review, like, follow us, send it to your friends. We'll send clips out, and you can follow those as well. But yeah, go see Monarch, or go watch Monarch. The fandom is divided. It's time for Geek Court. All right. So we said earlier we're going to focus on Monarch. So our court today has nothing to do with Godzilla or Kong or any of the other titans that we've seen and talked about. This is all about Monarch, the organization itself, the through line that has threaded this universe, this monster universe together. Is it worth? Is it working or is it not working? I know I'm taking the anti side of this. So do you want to go pro first, or you want me to lay out?
I'll go pro first. Yeah. So Monarch, as I said earlier, you could watch this show and not watch any of those movies. This show, it stands on its own. It's I love that it is in those two timelines. You've got the 1952 when these were first becoming aware, a modern society is first becoming aware of these monsters. They've been, they're pursuing a lot of monsters that exist in mythology or in stories, but there's not much evidence. And so they're getting the evidence that these creatures exist. And then that leads to the creation of the Monarch Agency, a parallel agency funded by the military and the American government, but not, or there's some funding there as well, but not a government agency in and of itself. And then flash forward to 2014, I think we said. So I think it's 2014. That's the modern tale. And then 2015. And then in season 2, we're 2 years later. So it must be 2016, 2017.
2017, yeah.
And it's a smaller story, and similar to how we praised Greenland, that movie, how we've praised there was something
Wonder
else where it
Man.
was a smaller what's that?
Wonder Man.
Wonder Man. Yeah, when you have these smaller street level stories, because if you watch any of the Monsterverse movies, they're mostly going to be, and that's what you're paying for, the fun big giant monsters fighting each other, with then sprinkle in some human stories. This is human stories with some sprinkling in of the monsters, and I think it really works well. It's an excellent TV show. If you already have Apple TV, it's all the shows on there are awesome, and if you haven't watched this one, you should absolutely do that. So it's awesome.
So
Counterpoint.
So as much as I do love this show, I will say there are a lot of people. So I'm going to be fighting on behalf of others. I am I'm the what you call it there. I'm the knight fighting for the people behind me who I know are pissy about some stuff. So there's a lot of people
representing the trolls people.
Someone's got to. They only have 1 or 1,000 voices. I don't know. But so what I've read a lot of is people are upset about the time it takes to tell the story. The very things you and I are talking about in such great things, that there are a lot of people. So I will say, I try to put myself in the position of these folks, and I understand. So this story does take a long time to tell. It is very intense. The back and forth that you and I talk about positively, a lot of people are not a fan of, because they're like, why are we wasting time? Because to your point, the Monsterverse isn't about human stories. It's about spectacle. Godzilla versus Kong, the new empire, I think it was what it was called. Hold on, I got it right here. I don't know why I'm guessing. Yeah, Godzilla versus Kong, New Empire, where Kong gets like a power glove, and they have to fight. Like, that's what people want. People want that monsters fighting monsters. It's the same with Pacific Rim when you have the two, and in fact, Pacific Rim. But in Pacific Rim, they have the huge robots fighting the monsters. It's just huge. It's all culture, that's what people want. They don't want to hear about Lee Shaw and all this other stuff, and they don't care about Kate or Keiko. They want the spectacle. So I will say, in that sense, I get it. People are like, wow, God, this is slow. And it's taking too long. Now, again, you and I are older. We are Gen X geeks, so we have a little bit more patience, but there are folks in the younger generations who just like, let's get to the payoff. We don't want to wait. We don't want to see the whole thing unfold. I just want to see these two suckers punch each other in the face and blow stuff up, and what new powers we can make these creatures have, the Titans. But yeah, I get it. I don't necessarily agree, but I do get it. There are going to be people who are going to be mad with all the stuff that we love.
Well, they just need to go in like me, not having known that they were related in any way. Just watch it ignorantly. And
from floppy disks to streaming clicks, it's Geek Evolution.
All right, so we've been talking a lot about why we're trying to focus on just the organization, not the Titans. I keep wanting to call them kaiju. I really do.
Wow, it's so funny because when you did the Creature Devil feature, we barely knew what kaiju were, and now that's all you want to use.
That's all I want to use. Now I got to go back to Titans and
yeah, it's tough.
I'm old. I'm set in my ways. I don't know if I want to change it. But I will call them rightfully so Titans. But we're not talking about the evolution of the Titans. We're talking about the evolution of this secret organization called Monarch. I do think it's very interesting because, and we've talked about it starts with 3 people, right? Keiko, her husband, Lee Shaw, and they start off as she's just a researcher. She needs an escort because it's during wartime. So they put Shaw, and they stumble into the other guy, and they're all out looking for the same creatures. And it starts very, very innocently. And then Shaw is able to get them a meeting with the general, and they show them the dinosaur print. They show them the Godzilla footprint that they find. And suddenly they have all this funding. And it starts as we need to defend the country. And they even have a point during season 1 where the military tries to attack him, Godzilla, and it goes completely sideways, of course. But the way that organization built and in the newer, the modern time telling of it, it's very much like, any Black Ops, organization that we would see today. Like we talked about SHIELD or I guess Hydra, however you feel about what Monarch's doing. They could be SHIELD, they could be Hydra. We don't know. But it's a $1 billion enterprise now, right? They have donors, they have money, they're making money off tech, and it really is cool to see this evolution of this specific group.
Yeah, and then they've in season 1 they come out of the shadows. So because they did that fake they did a fake Titan, sorry. They did a Titan warning. The system went off, and that got them into Apex to rescue their friend May. And then to cover it up, for whatever reason, Tim, the pencil pushing helper there, the geeky guy, the basement guy, our guy, our Gen X guy, he says just go public. And then flash forward, and I was thinking about this when I was rewatching the beginning of the 2019 Godzilla King of the Monsters, and how like people are so angry at Monarch, like as if Monarch made the monsters come out, which I guess sometimes they do, right? So fair enough. I guess that's true.
Yeah, they somehow figure out how to open the portals.
Yeah, but I mean, they're there, so is it really their fault?
Well, I mean, especially at the beginning of season 2, we see Kate trying to save Shaw. So best of intentions.
They
trying to say she intentionally in order to try to get Shaw, she opens a breach, which brings out the largest Titan that we've seen so far, which is based in, I think it's a Korean myth. And again, they're doing a cool tie-ins with the creatures, but so they intentionally, now that's not technically Monarch. This group went rogue off the floating base. And I do think
good point. Fair enough. Monarch is to blame. Yes.
So Monarch, it's one of those, they try to do stuff with the best of intentions, but they're always doing it wrong, and they were trying to keep it secret. And once G-Day happened, it's a little hard to keep a friggin' 300 or 400 foot creature secret when he's out destroying an entire city.
But I do think they're more in where we know Marvel so well, and so I think when you say are they Hydra, I think that's Apex. Apex seems to be more Hydra. Apex Cybernetics,
right?
They seem to be more the Hydra, the bad guy.
Well, they took May, and they were trying to compel her to do and even at in the season 2 opener, they, the woman who's there keeps trying to bring May along because they want her genius to help them with whatever their plan is, supposedly to make things safer and being able to live in harmony with the Titans. But and in Verdugo, I think her name was, the deputy director of Monarch, that kind of controlled a lot of it. She was one of the reasons why they were able to get Keiko back, and set up the whole operation that, bridged into season 1 and early into season 2. She ends up getting killed right in that first episode. So, Monarch is being affected by, as much as they are affecting, we've seen bases get blown up, and so it's very cool what they've done. I think the use of this organization to bring together these stories in a way that I don't think I've seen it done before. We make the parallels because it's easy, like you said. We know Marvel so well, but to say Shield and Hydra and Apex and Monarch is, but when you look at this in this situation, even I guess maybe Agents of Shield is the only other show that has tried to do this, where they've taken movies and a TV show, and we talked about it during Wonder Man, where they weave the storylines. So stuff that while you're right, you don't have to have seen Monarch. I mean, you don't have to have seen the movies to enjoy Monarch, but if you have, there's some inside stuff that you'll understand that better.
Yeah, and I feel like season 2, based on the trailers, is going to be more of, because they seem to be saying we're going to get Godzilla and Kong to take out this bigger Titan that just came through. So
right, which makes me wonder: are they planning a movie? Or will they do it in the show?
Well, I mean, the next movie is actually a sequel to. I think the next one is like the timeline doesn't match up.
It's a sequel to New Empire.
Yeah, that
was the one a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's the sequel to New Empire. I'm pretty sure. That's what I read.
I wonder what they're going to do there. So I will say, I'm a little nervous. Because, and I don't know if we said it just as part of the show or if it was just in the review.
Yeah, it's Godzilla versus Kong Supernova coming out next year in March.
So I will say I'm a little disappointed by that.
Okay.
Only because we've done Godzilla versus Kong, right? It's not, in fact, they've done it twice. There was a Godzilla versus Kong, and then there's the New Empire, and now we're going to go Supernova. So this is what I was about to say before you, because I did not know that title. I'm afraid they're going to jump the shark. So in 2014, when Godzilla came out, they had no idea they were going to have a hit. How many Godzilla movies have they made? And they're all good in their own way, but they all usually treat it like all Godzilla movies, where it's all about Godzilla, and then, the crazy city destruction, and somehow we tame Godzilla, right? This is the first time that they've taken that step back, and they made a great movie, and it was like, holy crap, this is good. Well, we got Kong. Let's make a Kong movie. Let's see if we can do it again. And they did it with the new property. And then they said, well, let's tie them together a little bit with this Monarch thing. And then they really start to connect them, and they're doing great stuff. And my fear is they're going to do what all the DC movies have ever done, which is screw it up by episodes 2, right? The sequel or the third movie, you end up with an amalgam of too much crap going on because they feel like they have to step it up. And I just am afraid that they're going to go, well, we got to just keep building this beast that we have. Why are you laughing at me?
Because you're into the rant. It's like,
I know.
This so naturally occurs so much.
I am. I'll drop the fucking thing in. Here, hold on. I'll rant the rant.
Your kids don't know how good you've got it.
All right, you're telling us so we can get too much of a good thing.
Not that we can get too much of a good thing, but they are going to get ahead of themselves. They're going to get too big for their britches, and they're going to start screwing it up by thinking they're continuing their success, right? They started, it's the thing that happens when something unexpected does well. Oh, we're going to make the best movie we can make. And it's a great movie, but then they go, oh shit, it was bigger than we thought. We got to do it again. So they did it again. And then, oh my God, that one went well too. Let's make another. And then they did again. And then they built, well, let's tie it all together with the show. I'm afraid they're going to go too far trying to get bigger and better. And I can't help it. I think I've made this joke before in the show where, you know, I don't need to see Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, right? It was too much. It wasn't, you know, it was campy and it was a fun movie, but it wasn't what it should have been, right? It's not the way they handle the Marvel universe today, where it's a good movie and it also happens to include Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was, you know, they lit that like the old TV shows. And this, I'm afraid that they're going to. That's why I'm disappointed to hear it's another Godzilla versus Kong, because it should be. Because they're setting it up in the show. We need Godzilla and Kong to fight together and fight this new guy. That's what I want to see. And maybe they'll do it in the show.
Yeah, it might be because it's Godzilla X Kong, so maybe they'll work together.
I guess. Do you have anything for rantables?
No, I don't on this one. I think that my message to the new generation or to any generation is that that this show is on Apple, and I know you might not have that, but get Apple TV. That's my rant. That's my message. Get Apple TV, because Shrinking's there, Severance is there. There's so much great content there. Oh, yeah. And while you're visiting, Ted Lasso, and you just wrap that up, jump on over to Monarch. It's worth it.
I almost think we need to reach out to Apple for a sponsorship, because we do nothing but promote them. And well within
Silo,
yeah. There's actually shows. Dark Matter is another great show. There are shows that I hadn't watched that I will now, only because I know they're from Apple and they've done such a good job with other stuff. So
yeah,
100%. As much as I'm afraid of this shit,
smaller library, much smaller library,
but easier to get through everything.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. And Ted Lasso's got a season 4 coming up. But yeah, it's just don't screw it up. That's my thing, right? Keep it going. Do the right thing. Yeah. Oh, God, I feel this. I'm stressed. I feel it. So I don't want them to screw it up. I just don't go too far. That's all I'm saying.
It's critical hits and epic fails.
I have a big critical hit. We've talked about it a couple times. I don't know that we've mentioned it during the last 45 minutes or so, but I know we've talked about this timeline back and forth, right? If you've watched the show, and we could say it 100 more times, if you haven't, go watch it. But they do this timeline back and forth where they start in 2014 and then they go back to 1950s and back and forth. And you see this character of Lee Shaw, Colonel Lee Shaw, as both a young man and an older man. And the really cool thing to me, the critical hit, is Kurt Russell, the amazing Kurt Russell, who's been in so many great movies, is the older version of Lee Shaw, and Wyatt Russell, his son, plays the younger version of Lee Shaw. And it's like, I think the first time they didn't really have to try that hard to make them look like the same person, because Wyatt looks so much like his father already that it's really cool. And, I can't say enough good things about Kurt Russell. He's made some really goofy movies, but he's made some amazing movies, and even the goofy ones are amazing. But Wyatt Russell, a big part of the MCU, great actor in his own right. So I love the fact that they put them. I can't even think of another situation where you could do that, right? I don't know. I don't know two other father-child or parent-child relationship actors that would fit. In that situation. Maybe Ethan Hawke and Maya Hawke could play father and daughter in something for real, but you couldn't do the timeline difference, because obviously once it's his daughter, not his son. But anyway, yeah, I love it. I think they did it was such cool. And I know it's kind of stunt casting maybe, but it worked, and I think it's working.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. And I have to say though, that when I first saw Wyatt, I thought, this is Temu Kurt Russell. Like, he's not his dad.
Well,
and I didn't quite see it. It's not that I thought he was bad. It's just Kurt Russell I put on such a pedestal. I love so many of his characters, so many of his performances, that he just seemed like the lesser version. But this, I was like, wow, he's more like his dad than I thought. And so, yeah, it works. It really does. So I'm doubling down on your critical hit. That is an amazing choice. Glad it worked out. And it does kind of go to my epic fail though, because Bill Randa's character, John Goodman plays Bill Randa, of course, older Bill Randa in Kong and Skull Island, and then he's at the very, very beginning of Monarch, and then goes back in time. And I love the show Workaholics, and Anders Holm is the actor who plays young the young Bill Randa, the young John Goodman. He doesn't look anything like John Goodman. So I looked it up to see if does John Goodman have a son, and did they miss out? No, he has a daughter who looks nothing like him.
Thank God for her.
So the epic fail here is that John Goodman didn't have a son. That's the epic fail. Because wouldn't that have been cool if they had like that kind of thing working together? That would have been, that's the epic fail. John Goodman never had a son, and that's a failure on his part.
Okay. I actually listen, and I'm with you on that, because that would have been phenomenal if they could have pulled that off. But I thought you were going to say, and I'm glad you said his name because I couldn't remember, but Anders Holm as Bill Randa. I thought you were going to say he was the fail, like his.
Oh,
his
actually, I really like
Randa.
him.
No, he's great. That's why I was like, wait, where are you going? I thought you were going to say he was the fail, but the fact that John Goodman,
he's nothing like John Goodman though. Like they're not even trying. Like they didn't even try. Like,
right.
I don't know who it could be, to be honest, because I was racking my brain, like, who today would be a young John Goodman, and I couldn't really think of anyone that would work. So they might as well go with just a good actor like Anders Holm.
There are a couple actors, I can't think of their names, but they're more TV actors, and they have that heavier look, because Goodman's always been a heavy set guy. So they could have gotten a heavier actor to play the younger version of him, but I don't think any of them would have done a better job than Anders Holm was doing.
Yeah.
And the three of them, Wyatt, Anders, and I don't know the girl's name who plays Keiko. I don't know her real name. You said it earlier. But the three of them have great chemistry together. And I think that helps that story. You got to make sure that these people, because obviously they get married, and, Shaw and Keiko have like a kind of a fling. So they have to have this chemistry between the three of them. So, yeah, that's hysterical that you went that John Goodman doesn't have a son. You son of a bitch, John Goodman. Go get a guy.
That was so good. That was so good.
So really our hit is in fail is the same.
Yeah.
They are the same.
Yeah.
It's great when
Kurt
it works
Russell
out.
And Wyatt Russell, that's a great pair. It works out fantastic. And John Goodman needed to do his job.
You son of
by
a
having a child, a son. He does have a child, sorry, his daughter. So
who I'm sure is wonderful.
Yes.
But you
I'm
don't
sure-
work
yes.
in this particular moment for what
but
we
Wyatt
want.
Russell was born in 86. John Goodman in 86 should have also had a child, and then
Wyatt Russell was born in 86?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel old, man. I graduated high school in 87.
Not Timu Kurt Russell.
Not Timu Kurt
I take that back. So don't post that.
That's the clip I'm going to put on. I'm going to find his social media and tag him. I'm going to call him Wyatt Timu Kurt Russell.
My apologies. I was wrong.
No, that's hysterical. Yes, and they do a great job. All right. So it's funny, we talked about this before we started recording. We didn't know if we were going to get close to the full hour, but we almost got there anyway. So listen, I say it 100 times. Listen, like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification button. check out Jeff's new shirt. This is a preview shirt of we are heading to the Northeast Comic Con collectibles in a couple weeks, and we'll be wearing our Never Give Up, Never Surrender shirts that Jeff is
Yes,
you
because
can buy them.
Galaxy Quest cast will be there. Not the full cast, but the aliens, which were some of the best part
Yeah.
of Galaxy Quest.
So Balthazar is played by Enrico Colantoni. I think I'm pronouncing his name properly. I think I might reach out to him on social media and see if he would be interested in doing it. You guys, if you're following us, go find him on Instagram and tell him he should talk to us, because I'm going to reach out and say, hey, we'd love to get you for 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be a long time. Maybe we'll even invite him to do a little random review of Galaxy Quest with us. That would be kind of fun. I don't know what it'll look like because we'll have to bring our own gear, but, and this is very much on the fly. So hopefully we'll be able to pull it off. And if not, we'll still bring your review and we'll do all the fun stuff. But we're also going to do a random review of Galaxy Quest at that time. And yeah, so stick with us. Like, subscribe. Thanks for being with us. And what's the last thing we want to tell them? Go get Apple Plus and freaking watch Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
That's right. Do it.